morning, everyone, and good evening, Dr. Brooke from USA.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you in Thailand?
Yeah, I'm doing well. Ajahn Brooke, can you tell us something? And what about the situation in the USA now?
It's different in all the different states and the regions of America. Some places are hotspots. They have many, many cases of COVID-19, but some places, especially places, rural places that have little people, are not that many. People.
Yeah.
So we have some things here that are opening where I live in Memphis, Tennessee, where Rhodes College is, where I teach. And when we go out, we just wear a mask and usually limit the number of people. That's what we're doing right now.
Right. Okay, so now we got some viewers. Yeah.
All right.
So we would like to say hi to all audiences that who are keep watching us right now. You are in the program Monkchat Talk. This is our first live. We Zoom to one of the doctor who study about religions, many different religions, and especially she come to Thailand, almost every years from last 2-3 years, or maybe more.
Yeah, I came to Thailand every year, like 2018, 2019, but before then I lived in Chiang Mai for about 8 or 9 years. So
yeah. So we also will let the audience know about. Hello. Okay. Yeah. After a while, we also will let the audience know about you as well. So right now, we also would like to introduce ourselves, and then after that, it's you. Okay. I am Pra Sontavi Intasaro. Right now, I'm studying in MCU University in Buddhist study.
Okay, so let me introduce myself. My name is Prasiwon Atija Bangso. And yeah, right now I'm living in Thailand and I'm a volunteer at MQ Monkchat. Very nice to see you today.
Prason and
Prasiwon.
What are you studying? Well, Prason, you graduated, right? With your bachelor's degree. Are you studying further now?
I have graduated my BA degree last 2 years, and right now I'm working as an assistant meditation teacher at Monkchat program. Monkchat and meditation retreat.
Okay.
Yes.
And for me, I just graduated from MCU. So I think this is very good chance for me to looking something new to do, like what we are doing now. So as we have radio program and this is very our new channel that we are going to keep doing it like Monkchat Talk as we are doing. It is very new for us as well.
Yeah.
So our intention to have this Monkchat Talk in order to go to interview the knowledgeable people who are studying on Buddhism all over the world, as we have their connection. Yes.
Yeah.
And today we are also very happy to have you in our Facebook Live here. So we have several questions to ask you about your attitude to about Buddhism and concern to your Buddhist article that you have been written,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah. So a few days ago, I have read about your articles. They are very interesting, really,
Thank you.
and yeah, especially for the tourists. I think if
Yes.
they read about your articles, I'm definitely sure that they would be able to understand about the Buddhism, and not
Mm-hmm.
just about the Buddhism, but also about the Northern culture. Yeah.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
Would you mind introduce yourself and like uh, your background about all the regions?
Okay. I am now an assistant professor in religious studies at Rhodes College. It's in Memphis, Tennessee. Have you ever heard of Memphis, Tennessee?
No, this is our first time.
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
We have heard about
Yeah.
Tennessee.
Yeah. Okay. It's not
Yes.
a famous city, but but it is like New York or something. But it's a fairly interesting mid-sized city, and there's a small liberal arts college there, so that's where I'm teaching, and I teach undergraduate students, and that means like you were and they're usually 18 to 22 years old, so graduating with a bachelor's degree. And so that's why I was writing for some of my articles or for that audience, like the audience that is just learning about Buddhism. And since I had much living experience and research experience in Thailand, a lot of my articles are written about Buddhism in Thailand, and for the audience, an English-speaking audience who might not be familiar with it. So I tried to send you the articles that were a little bit easier to read and less in depth. But maybe next time I can give you a more challenging article.
Yeah. So what you are teaching is about the region mainly, right?
Yeah, so I teach Buddhism, the religion of Buddhism, and also religions of Southeast Asia.
Yeah.
And I just taught a class on socially engaged Buddhism. So like you do at Monkchat, like Buddhists who are interested in using Buddhist ideas to help other people.
Yes.
So, and now over the summer, I'm teaching Buddhism in Thai society, because I usually go to Thailand over the summer and visit sorry, my cat. I visit many temples and stay overnight at monasteries with students. But this summer we can't do that. So I'm teaching Buddhism in Thai society remotely instead. So we won't get the experience of being there, but we'll get some guest speakers like Prason coming onto our class.
Yeah, he's very great speaker, and he's also my idol.
Yes.
Thank you for your compliments.
Yeah, I come across of your topic that you used to teaching Buddhist monk in Thailand, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
would you mind sharing about your experience and how you view about the Buddhist monk, like before and after? I think
Before
it would
and
be very interesting for those people who are listening right now. They would get something new. It's like, oh, the view it changed after teaching, and like the previous view, I thought that Buddhist monks are very strict and they don't talk much. But in reality, I think that it would be something different.
Yeah. I mean, when I started, I was just teaching monks at MCU and one class, and I have done some guest lectures with some ajahns there. But when I started teaching, I was already familiar with the lifestyle of monks a little bit, but I do know that that I've interviewed some of the volunteers that come and teach in the classroom to teach English for some of my research. And yeah, they do think that the life of the monk is very strict, and the monks are going to be very like unemotional, like flat, affect, no expression, or maybe that they can't even talk. And it's like these kind of weird ideas that people have. And I think from, movies or media in some way. But teaching monks is really great and fun, as some of the viewers know, because you all are really interested in learning and have a lot of fun in the classroom and love to joke around and like tease each other and make fun of each other, and it always makes me laugh a lot, and I get a lot of energy when I'm teaching the monks, because you're very excited and happy to learn and be in the classroom. So that's what I learned, that that it was a lot of energy, that maybe I wasn't expecting that much energy.
Yeah. So actually the life of monk is different. It depends on the context. Like, so when we come to school, we enjoy our study, and especially about the major that we are studying. And when we come back to the temple, we also have to follow about the rules, the regulations at the temple. So I can say that it depends on the context, like how we behave, and mostly about the society in Thailand. Monks should be modest and be appropriate.
Yeah, definitely right. Like the Thai phrase "kalatesa." So you have to like match your behavior to the time and place, right? That's what kalatesa means, time and place. So like a ritual, monks would be very, the kind of appearance that I think maybe people who aren't familiar with monks' lifestyle would think monks are at every time. But that would be like maybe just in a ritual setting. But if there was a different setting like the classroom, then you can act differently. But also, I think the fact that you're speaking English when you're in the classroom makes it more free. That's what I found, and I think that when you're in a classroom, the classrooms that I've seen that are Thai or speaking in Thai, then there's a little bit more formality, but it's a little bit more informal with the foreign ajahns who are teaching in English. And when you're learning English, there's a little bit more freedom because you're experimenting with new words and new ideas.
Okay. When did you introduce to like a religious study? When did you start to learn the religious study, and what is your first like article?
Yes, like how you wrote in my poster, I'm a Buddhist article writer. Part of what I do, yes. My first encounter with religious studies was when I was an undergraduate myself. So I started taking religious studies classes, and that was my focus. Like in American colleges, they call it a major. So like your major is like your faculty, like you would have at like a Thai university. So I was interested in all different religions. I took classes on lots of different ones, and then I wanted to focus on Asia and Asian religions and Buddhism. I'm not quite sure why. I thought it was really fun and interesting. When I've talked to a Buddhist, they say it's my karma to study Buddhism. So, I mean, I don't know if you're Buddhist, maybe that's the reason.
What do you think about it?
What do I think? I don't know how to explain these things. I mean, karma is one way to explain it. And I mean, it's probably as good an explanation as any, like, why we're attracted to certain things and really want to study them. And with there's no like real reason in my life to be attracted to it. But once I started learning about it, I thought that it would be really fun to keep studying. So that's why I did that for a master's degree, and then focusing more on Buddhism, and then PhD focusing more on Southeast Asia and Buddhism in Thailand.
Okay, so concerning to your studying, your major is religious study. So it means that you also have learned all the main religions in this world, right?
Yes.
And you can share some idea about all the religions that you have studied, the pretty same, and what is like your idea about that?
I mean, when I teach other things besides Asian religions. There's some classes that I teach that are more like topics, so they try to bring like religious studies ideas together, and so that's kind of like one of the big debates or like things that we talk about in class or in religious studies scholars is, are religions more the same? Are there like universal experiences that people can have that cut across all religions, or are religions like really so different and we shouldn't try to compare them? And there's two different ways that people think about it. I think like maybe the first wave of thinking about it when religious studies was kind of more like first happening was that, religions are all the same and everybody should kind of get along. It was kind of like making everybody trying to feel good. Like we can all be, friendly together and we can just be like really happy that all religions are similar. But then other people started to come back at this and say, no, that's like demeaning to the religion. It's like doesn't appreciate the levels of difference within religion. And if you just think that everything is the same, it just kind of flattens out the ideas. Like how can karma be the same as sin in Christianity? Like you can't just put them together and say they're the same or they're really similar enough. So then it came to, well, we can't compare religions at all, and so everybody has to like specialize in these little tiny parts of each religion. But so then now the kind of backlash to that is happening where people are saying, well, maybe there can be some universal parts of religion. There can be some experiences that some people could have that, it doesn't matter what religion or background you have, it would be the same. So like meditation or a kind of like, like the jhana states or chan, like in Thai, like an experience where you're like really focused and absorbed in meditation. Maybe you could have that from all different kinds of backgrounds, or like an enlightenment experience could happen similarly to in a Buddhist way or in a way from someone who's not practicing Buddhism as they know it.
Yeah.
So those are just some ideas about religion in general.
Okay. Yeah. Concern to your ideas. Like as I heard that some people they think that, oh, my religion is good, your religion is bad. What do you think about this point of view?
Yeah, I think a lot of I haven't heard many Buddhists say that, right? Buddha in Thailand seem somewhat pretty open to different religions, as long as you're a good person. I think a lot of people have that kind of view. But yeah, if my religion is good and yours isn't, I mean, that's kind of like, well, there's only one truth, right? And this religion has that truth, and the other religions do not have that idea of truth that is real. And I mean, I think it makes sense if you think that if you really follow this one religion, this one path, and you think that's the truth, and other people think something completely different is the truth, then that's going to be hard to agree with. But at Monkchat, and at the meditation retreats that you do, you kind of treat it like, it's open to any religion, and we're just trying to teach you about Buddhism, right? And have you found that to be a good way to approach the idea of different religions?
Yes, of course. We also have a chance to have a conversation, and we also have learned a lot from different background and to learn the truth. And yeah, it's
Yeah.
very useful program to let Buddhist monk open their view to accept even non-religion as well. People from non-religion, how they view Buddhism, or uh, from other religion as well. Yeah.
So I think from this point, in order to know that which region is good and which region isn't good, I think we have to come back and to study about our own regions deeply before we study others. If we oneself don't understand our regions, so how can we understand others?
And
Yeah, I think that's right.
yeah. So you so right now you do teaching your subjects at home, right?
Yeah.
And you
Yeah.
cannot come to Chiang Mai to have an exchange program in Chiang Mai, and
Yeah.
every year you
Maybe
took
next year can come again.
you took student to Monkchat.
Mm.
So in your point of view, um, for us to have this program, what is the like a perspective of the foreign's view about this program?
Yeah, I think that Monkchat has benefited so many students who have come to Chiang Mai because it's so open, the program's set up, and it's very easy to access. And students can get, and like we talked about before, they're the ones who often have this notion that monks are not, like regular people. And then to be able to meet someone who does have such a different lifestyle, in terms of what living and clothing and actions that you can do and places you can go, and then for the students to be able to like actually talk to someone so different from them, but also can see when they're talking that there are so many similarities, then that really breaks down their idea of difference, and that they can make connections with lots of different people, and that feels really good. Like students, I think, come out of Monk Chat like with a really excited feeling in a really new way for them, because it's a different kind of learning. It's a really really deep experiential learning rather than just like reading something and then talking about it. They can like get a deep sense by engaging fully with another person in the monastic lifestyle.
Yeah. And according to your teaching, religious to student, how can you see some reaction from the new generation that we talking about the belief, and no, I mean the different religions, and what do you see some reaction from the young age or teenagers, student?
To Buddhism, right?
Yeah, I think to Buddhism first.
I mean, I have a lot of where I teach. Some students come from Christian backgrounds, and so they're pretty, because they're taking the class, so they're they're interested in the ideas of another religion. A lot of times they kind of will be like comparing, though, like, oh, in my religion, we do this, and so I try to get them out of that, because in my classes I want them to think about Buddhism in Buddhist terms, and not think about Buddhism in like Christian terms,
right?
Or terms from their own already the vocabulary that they have. I want them to think about it in the vocabulary of Buddhism, to think about Buddhism with its own terms.
Okay, can you explain about that? What is the term that most of the people misunderstand, the term from the religious background and toward Buddhism?
Yeah, I mean, they'll talk about, a lot of times students will say praying or like
Yes,
prayer.
praying.
Yeah. If, you know, if, you know, a Buddhist, if a Buddhist sins, I don't think sin is very good either. You know, it's hard to think about a religion that doesn't have a God, and to think about karma instead, and to really, really understand the implications of karma and what that means as the explanation for what's going on in your life, rather than a God. So yeah, I do tell students though, if you're going to compare, like, you know, Jesus or God, you wouldn't compare him to Buddha. You would compare that would go together with karma, because karma is more like a, you know, it's a force, like an impersonal force, but it's more like a divine, you know, you can kind of think of it in that way. So, and then some students might use like more words that are just in their own vocabulary, like energy, you know, like the energy of Buddhism, or the, like instead of the Buddhist words for morality and precepts and things like that, that I would rather them talk about. Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
is
very
that
nice. Yeah,
okay?
very
Thank
nice
you.
to explain that to you know, people from from the religious background. And in Monkchat as well, we also try to let the meditators learn, you know, some like practice in Buddhism,
Yeah.
that there's a explanation. It's not just only the religious practice, but it's linked to the training. For example, bowing. We also try them to explain. To experience this to low ego and low. You are important. You cannot bow on the earth, on the touch on the floor. So we explain that this is one way to lower your ego, lower yourself, to able to bow to the nature. Especially you bow on the floor, means you touch the earth, and you go back to the simple. Yeah, learn, go back to the simple.
Yeah, that's a good way to explain it. And I have had students who did not, if you explain it that way, and you explain, oh, pay respect and, lower your ego, but there's a Buddha statue in front of them, and if some students are really non-religious or really strict in another religion, then they're not going to bow. And what can you do, right? I mean, like, you don't force anyone to bow at Monkchat at the retreat. It's just optional, right, if you want to. But that's the one, like, really sticky practice element when I take students to temples. And I tell the students, if you feel comfortable bowing, then you sit in the front, and if you don't feel comfortable bowing, sit in the back. And like, nobody will really notice if you just like do a little Y instead of like a full bow, because they feel like they're betraying their religion. I had one student say to me that, like, she felt like she had to bow for some reason, and she said in her mind, like, "I'm sorry, Jesus," and she was like bowing. I was like, no, you don't have to bow then if you feel that way.
Right.
I think in Buddhism, the word bowing is about the respect. Like when we come to school as Thai people, when you see the teachers, they always show respect by bowing. As same as the monks as well. This is how we show respect.
Yeah, I mean, that's right. And there isn't the culture of bowing in non-Asian cultures. Oh, what I was going to say before was that I also have some students from other from Asian countries. They're either Asian American, heritage from Asian countries, or they come from internationally. And so I've had some students from Vietnam and some from Laos, and but they often tell me that they don't really know much about Buddhism, even though they, grew up in a family of that practice. They didn't really pay attention. They didn't really notice what their parents and grandparents and aunts were doing. They just kind of went along. Maybe as they grow up in America, they don't understand the language anymore. So when they come to the class, they're like really excited because they're like, oh, that's what my family does, and I didn't realize the point, why we were doing that. So that it's totally different for those students that grew up in those backgrounds.
I think this is very normal in the religious country. So many teenagers they don't really understand what they are believing, because mostly when they grow up, they are belong to this region already, and then they just observing the parents. So mostly they know that Buddhism is about giving. So once